In the array, in each of these, the direct objects access, the base objects access, the objects modified, the policies reference, there's a number of fields that we have available. So let's kind of step through these. So let's just use, for example, the direct objects access. Let's say our query, again, we're selecting some columns from a view. What we're going to see when we go and look in that array is we're going to see a number of things. We're going to see the column name that was accessed. We're also going to see the column ID, right? We're going to see the object name and the object ID. And this is important. Let's say we have a table that we have a table, that table is dropped, then it's recreated. We have a table with the same name in two different databases, right? And so the object ID is key here because that will tell us exactly which table it is. If we just go in and say, look for this table name, that's not going to give us everything, right? We actually want the object ID, and we're going to talk a little bit about how we use all of this information in conjunction with other metadata in Snowflake and other information, and that's one of the key things is having that object ID so we can get at which specific object it is. Then we have the object domain, which depending on what type of an object it is, this is what it's going to tell us. What type of an object is it? Is it a table? Is it a view? Is it an external table? Is it a procedure? What was it that was accessed? And so that's what we can see in there. If we come up to the top over here, we've got the location. So if it's an external location, like for example, we're accessing a stage or something like that, we'll be able to see the location there, the URL, for example. If it's a stage that we're accessing, then we're going to be able to see what kind of stage it was. Was it a user stage? Was it a table stage? Was it an external named stage, an internal named stage? So we'll be able to see that in the stage kind element of the array. We've got the base sources and direct sources. We're going to talk about this in a moment. This is actually a little bit confusing. We'll look at some examples of this when we actually get into Snowflake. But where the type of information we're going to see in here is if we take a column, for example, and in our query, we alias that column or we do a sum on it or something like that, we're going to be able to see in the base sources and the direct sources that, look, this is what you called it, but this is what it actually was. So that's what we're going to be able to see in there. If it's a policy that was a column that was accessed that had a policy on it, for example, then we would see that information in the element called policy name and policy ID. So, and I've got some examples of that we're going to take a look at. The kind of policy, we've got that information in there. Was it a masking policy or a row access policy that was used? Excuse me. And then the last two here are argument signature and data type. Argument signature is, for example, if we had access to procedure, right, then it's going to give us the signature of that procedure. As most of you know, in Snowflake, you can overload the procedures. We could have 10 procedures all with the same name, but they've got different signatures. This one has 2 varchars that are passed in as parameters. This one has 3, something like that, different signatures. So we actually have the argument signature. And then data type, maybe a little confusing on the naming here. You might think that, this is the data type of the column that was accessed. No, that's not the case. Data type here is the data type of the return value from the procedure or the UDF. So that's what the data type is there.
Hey folks, thanks for checking out this cut from our broadcast. To see the full show, click on the link in the video description. Also, check out our Learning Center, which has white papers, events, live streams, and short explainer videos on a wide range of data management topics. And of course, if you like our content, please share it on LinkedIn. That really means a lot to us. Thanks again for checking us out, and we hope to see you in our next broadcast.